Greetings and salutations, Simple Squad. It is the day before Doomsday. If you know, you know. This is the MCZX, and welcome back to Non-Spoiler, the book review series where I review and recommend a book without spoiling it. If you are new here, I'm allowed 3 minor spoilers. I may use one, just one, due to a lived experience of the book we're discussing today. This is the first episode of the new year, and today's book is Long Live Mortal Kombat Round 1 by David L. Craddock. If you listen to this on Audible, it is narrated by Andy Ingalls. Also, there's a foreword by co-creator John Tobias and James Rolfe, also known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. It's pretty cool to hear from him, even though it's read by Andy Ingalls. This was released in 2022. And this is book 1 of a 3-part series. The second book has not been released yet, but it's coming. Here's a fun fact. This project was funded through Kickstarter, and it's self-published. There's no company behind it. It's all from Mr. Craddock and the community coming together to make this book a reality. You can kickstart anything on Kickstarter. It's right in the title. The audiobook is 21 hours and 32 minutes. Now, if you're like me with a full-time job and some distractions outside of books, this title may take some time to finish. I took about 2 weeks to finish the book through commutes to work and getting groceries and other things, but I'm positive it can be finished in about 2 days if you're really locked in. Now, before I share my experience with the book and Mortal Kombat as a whole, let me read you the summary and synopsis of Long Live Mortal Kombat Round 1. To politicians and parents, Mortal Kombat was a menace to society. To gamers, it was a way of life. From dedicated hustlers who put thousands of miles on their odometers, driving coast to coast to challenge the top players in arcades, to fans who devote their free time to collecting action figures, setting world records, and plumbing the depths of its lore. The Mortal Kombat franchise has topped the sales charts for 30 years, and its popularity shows no signs of waning. But before Mortal Kombat offended politicians and sold over 12 million units and counting, executives at Midway saw it as a filler, a stopgap between more promising games like NBA Jam. Co-creators Ed Boon and John Tobias felt differently, but not even they could have imagined the phenomenon Mortal Kombat would become when it hit arcades in October 1992, or the controversy that would follow in its wake. Based on extensive interviews, Long Live Mortal Kombat Round 1 chronicles the arcade era of the video game industry's most infamous fighting game series. The creative and technical hurdles the team had to clear, and the personal stories of the fans whose passion has made Mortal Kombat a pillar of popular culture. This is basically a love letter to Mortal Kombat, specifically like the synopsis said, the arcade era and the first 4 games. As a person that grew up playing Mortal Kombat, this was a fun, informative trip down memory lane. Now, granted, I didn't watch Mortal Kombat's popularity bloom over time, but by the time I was at least 6 or 7, I knew what Mortal Kombat was because I was playing it. I promise you everyone knows what Mortal Kombat was at that time. I think the first time I played MK was on Genesis with either my cousin or my dad. I'm not sure. It was one or the other, okay? I can't remember things this far back. I also have a vivid memory of playing my mother in an arcade once. She picked Sonya, I picked Sub-Zero, and of course I won because she doesn't play video games. But it was just cool that my mom was willing to play this violent game with me. I was like 8 or 9. It was nice. From playing MK3 and Ultimate on the SNES to playing MK Trilogy on Nintendo 64 on Christmas Day, mind you, the Mortal Kombat series has always been a part of my life. It's always been a constant there. That and Street Fighter. Those were good times. I think anyone who grew up playing these games during that period would share the same sentiment as well. Throughout the book, you get to hear from pro players and fans from the arcade scene, and they explain how big MK was at that time. Now, I knew what it was at 6 or 7, but I didn't know it was that big. You know, after listening to the book, I now understand how impactful it was. The game was so serious that one of the pro players that we hear from in this book, they dropped out of school or college just to play MK at the arcade as much as they wanted. And don't worry, the guy does pretty well for himself, even though that was a risky move. The book is broken down into 4 parts covering the 4 games and their arcade releases. You know, part 1 is obviously Mortal Kombat and how we got here. Part 2 is MK2. Part 3 is Vanilla MK3 and Ultimate MK3. And part 4 is, you know, Mortal Kombat 4. Personally, I smiled the most during the coverage at MK2 and MK3, Vanilla, and Ultimate MK3. Those 2 are the best in my opinion because I played them the most, especially Mortal Kombat 2 on the Genesis. That game was awesome. Soundtrack was balling. God, good times. I put so many hours in that game, y'all. Y'all just don't understand. And if I saw that game at an arcade or a movie theater, I'm playing it. Quarters going in there. That's how much I played MK2. MK2 was fun for me. And so was Ultimate MK3 on the Super Nintendo. I think I played it on the PlayStation 1, but I ran that cartridge through the ground. I played that a lot. If I wasn't playing like Slam Masters or something, I'm playing Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 because it was amazing. And Trilogy just took the cake, man. Took the cake. But this game, Mortal Kombat, influenced so many other fighters, some good, like Killer Instinct. Because, come on, no one was making a Killer Instinct pre-Mortal Kombat. That idea didn't even come about. And fun fact, they're under the same umbrella. Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct, both Midway properties. That's right, Midway distributed that. They put those games out there. That is their stuff. So I guess that answers the question as of why Mortal Kombat never had a crossover with Killer Instinct. Maybe that would be like an in-house thing and the developers didn't want to make that, but I would have loved to see that. And while I said some good games, there were some atrocious ones like Tattoo Assassin and I don't want to talk about any other. Tattoo Assassin was really bad, guys. It claimed it had like over 800 fatalities. Such a bad game. It was terrible. The sprites looked bad. It wasn't good. Survival Arts was another one. War Gods. Those aren't good fighting games. I'm sorry. They hold nostalgia clicks, but they're not great fighting games. No one is going out and having a Tattoo Assassin tournament. Please. Please and thank you. Just stop with the... Now, I know some of you out there is like, I like War Gods. I liked Survival Arts. I liked The Way of the Warrior, whatever that terrible game was on the 3DO. It is Way of the Warrior. You're not playing that. I had to go clarify to make sure I was talking about the right game, but you're not playing that. You're not playing any of these knockoff Mortal Kombat games. Why would you do that when you can play the real thing? You know what I'm saying? But it's safe to say that Mortal Kombat is extremely influential on the gaming industry. Especially that section about Mortal Mondays. I swear, when y'all hear about that and the way they marketed it, it was great. And you should read it. I'm not going to spoil that for you. But I will spoil this. It's very small. Did you know that Mortal Kombat was supposed to be a one-off? That's right. In another timeline, we don't get this vast amount of Mortal Kombat games, this phenomenon. We don't get any of that. We get this one thing and they never go back to it. And that's it, because then they will be working on a Star Wars game. And the book also taught me that pinball was banned in the 1940s and 50s due to it being considered a form of gambling. Crazy, right? You know what else is crazy? Who would have thought a game created by 4 guys would have become such a media phenomenon? After reading this book, I have a deep appreciation for how the game was developed. I'm impressed that those 4 gentlemen were able to pull off such a feat with the technology they had at their disposal. And no, this wasn't like caveman tech. The tech's not that old. It's just, wow, you used this and that, and you created that. How did you do that? And they go through that entire process in the book. It's impressive how all 4 games came about. But I will say this. Towards the end of the book, I got sad because it touched on the quote-unquote death of the arcade era. Sure, moving towards home consoles was inevitable. Arcades had a one-up on consoles, but eventually consoles were going to catch up and be able to replicate what you see in arcades. And it happened. And listening to that part of the book, it just made me relive it again because it was such a special time to me in my life. It was something you would look forward to on the weekends, much like going to Blockbuster on Friday to rent a game. You did all your homework and you're doing well in school, so why not get treated to Blockbuster? And I don't know how many of y'all got that, but I got that a lot. And the times of going to the arcade on the weekends after doing whatever, getting your parents to either bring you there, drop you off to see your friends, see all the new game releases and new cabinets that may have popped up there and put a quarter or two in them. It's never going to be matched. It's really a special feeling, Sure, there's some arcades that are still thriving in the modern era. They exist, but there's no dedicated ones in my area, and I can't relive that experience. I'd have to go out of state to do that. I'd have to go to Texas or go to California to go and play these old school arcade games. It's a time. What can I say? It's a time. I lived through it, and it sucks. It's really a tough adjustment, but not that bad of an adjustment because now, instead of putting maybe $5 in quarters in a machine, you can spend $50 or have your parents spend $50 on a cartridge or a disc, and now you have that game forever, like Tekken or Tekken 2. Why play that at the arcade when you have a pretty good replica of it on your PlayStation? You know what I'm saying? Why go and play Ultimate Mortal Kombat when you have it on your Super Nintendo or your PlayStation? It's tough, man. It's tough. I miss those times, but I understand why those times couldn't last because the convenience of it is right there. And why would you want to drive out to spend money on a machine that you cannot take home with you when you can just buy a game and do the same result? Now you have the thing, you can play it whenever you want. It is what it is. But I will say there was another aspect of that last chapter that made me sad. And that's because of the current state MK is in. I've heard rumblings that the newest MK, Mortal Kombat 1, is not that fun to play. And WB/NetherRealms aren't putting their best foot forward with the game. Things aren't looking the best if a title with the history of Mortal Kombat can't get a third round of DLC due to the other two DLCs selling poorly. It's always on sale, by the way. You should have never brought it for full price. It is like $20 right now or $25 right now. The gameplay not being as fun, fans being unhappy about the current multiversal story, and fan favorites not being included in the game because instead of putting in someone from the rich lore of Mortal Kombat, we're going to throw in a guest character from a movie because WB's here and we can use their library. We're going to throw Conan and the Scream guy in instead of, I don't know, let me play as Jade or freaking, I don't know, Su Hao. Wait a minute. No one wants to play as Su Hao. I'm sorry. But you get the point. You could have put someone in like Cabal or Jax. No, I don't want them as cameos. I want to actually play as them instead of, bringing in these characters from movie franchises. Bring in the people that you introduced me to and from your games. Why do you keep bringing in stuff that has nothing to do with Mortal Kombat? Sure, the Scream guy, that would be cool, but I don't want that. I would like to play as Jade. I would like to play as Jax. I would like to play as Kano. Or someone else. Hell, I'll even take Darius from Deadly Alliance. He's a cameo character, but you want to actually play as these characters, bro. You don't want to constantly get hit with what movie franchise or tie-in is Mortal Kombat going to bring in this time? What's next? Gandalf from Lord of the Rings? What are we going to put Gollum in? I don't know. There's things fans want outside of the stupid stuff they complain about that I think Mortal Kombat could deliver on because it has enough history and so many characters to deliver that without relying on movie tie-in characters. Yeah, it's cool that Peacemaker's in the game. Yeah, it's cool Omni-Man's in the game. It's cool, but is it what the fan base wants? I don't know. Listen, I'm all for a reboot and all that, but make sure the story that you're setting up makes sense. Now, truthfully, I have not played MK1's story mode. The last thing I played was MK11 story mode, and I saw where they were going with it, but it seems like online, the story's not making sense. Things aren't adding up. And because things aren't adding up, I don't want to play the game. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd have to go see it for myself. But let's go back to the book, because I could talk about the current state of Mortal Kombat all day and how sad it is, but I'm not here to be sad. I'm here to talk about why you should read this book. If you're looking for an oral history on MK's golden era, or the arcade era, or if you're just curious regarding the series history, I highly recommend this book. I don't see why any gamer would not enjoy reading or listening to this book. Everyone knows what Mortal Kombat is in some capacity, so why not read or listen to Craddock's story about how Boon and Tobias created a magical game that impacted the world. I really can't wait to see what Book 2 covers. I don't know if it's going to go towards more of the console games like Shaolin Monks and Deadly Alliance, Deception, all the way to maybe Mortal Kombat 9, the resurgence of Mortal Kombat. I'm not sure of what type of interviews he can get for the second book, but I'm excited. I cannot wait to see that. But I highly recommend that you go listen to this book. Give it a try. You know, even if you're not a gamer, you just want to hear about the history of one of the most impactful video games in America, this is the one for you. Highly recommend it. I rate it, and I'm going to go off of how Audible rates things, which is based off of stars. 1 star being the lowest, 5 stars being the best. I think the presentation of the book, 5 stars. The story, 5 stars. The narrator's performance, 5 stars. This is a full 5-star book for me. You may not feel the same, but you won't know that until you go read the book. So go check it out. You can find it on Audible, or you can find it on your local bookstore, or you can find it online somewhere to order it and read it yourself. So that's that. Thank you for listening to this episode of Non-Spoiler. I hope you give this one a read or a listen, and I'll see you next time. And it may not be me next time. Who knows? And if it is me, we'll see each other next time for book club. The next book, I don't know which book I want to review first. I have like 3 that I could do because I did finish them last year, but I wanted to do this one first. So I might send up a review for the other 3 books that I read, but I don't know. Maybe we should do a book club. We should like get an email mailing list and do a book club. And we all read the book. I review the book and then I see what you guys say. I don't know. That may be possible. I'll look into it. All right. But thank you for listening once again. I'm the MCZX, and this has been Non-Spoiler. We'll see you back again here on the Simply Complicated Universe feed, I guess, podcast page. I don't know what I'm saying. Words are coming out. I was about to call it a network. We are not a network yet, but I will see y'all at the next episode of Simply Complicated. You all take care, be good, and stay safe out there, and survive this Doomsday thing. Just survive, guys. Hold your loved ones tight and be safe, and do not lose your humanity out there. Remember, we all we got. Take care. Be good. Peace.